Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of On the Block with me, your host, Ted the Butcher. How's everybody doing tonight? You know, it's Saturday night here in Connecticut. We had so much snow this week. It's icy, it's cold. You know, let's just lay low, let's hang out, and let's talk about some awesome meat. What do you think about that? Meat, baby. Anyway, so before we begin, we're going to be talking about chicken breast tonight. The boneless breast, we're going to show you how to make some cutlets. But before we do that, I just want to show you this book I've been reading, The Butcher's Guide to Well-Raised Meat. This book, I'm literally just sharing this book with you because I think it's awesome, and I just want to tell you about it. It is by Josh and Jess Applestone from Fleischer's. Fleischer's is an awesome artisan butcher shop. There is one in New York State, I believe Kingston, and there's one in Park Slope in Brooklyn. They are kicking butt doing traditional snout-to-tail butchery in the classic traditional butcher style. They're using whole animals that are sourced locally throughout the Hudson Valley and other parts very close by the shops. Well-raised, grass-fed beef, no antibiotics, all organic. Great stuff. I think it's so cool. And this book is really cool. It's really informative. It tells you a lot about their story, how they source the animals, how they cut them up, about the art and the history of butchery. So I just wanted to put this out there for anybody who's interested. I believe you can get it at any of their shops or on Amazon. I feel like it's really important for us who are interested in eating better, eating cleaner meat and awesome products like this to pass around the knowledge that we get. And I think this book is a really awesome book and a great source. So check this out if you get a chance. This one's pretty cool. So with that said, let me show you some awesome tricks with these beautiful boneless chicken breasts. Now, these are huge. These are some big ones I found. Big. We love big breasts here, right? Come on, somebody had to say it, right? Anyway, these are some nice boneless chicken breasts I found. They're pretty clean. As you can see, this is obviously the heart of the white meat on the bird. Very popular. These get used all the time. There's not a lot of fat on these. You can see a little bit here, in this vein between the breast and like the tenderloin, right? This little piece here, which is it kind of hangs off every breast. They call that the tenderloin. I'll be honest with you, that's more of a naming convention than anything. It's not like the filet mignon of chicken or anything like that. It's all kind of part of the same breast. It's a nice piece to use when you see chicken fingers, stuff like that. They use the tenderloin, and also you can buy those separately if you're buying big bulk packs of chicken at a big store. Something like that. But anyway, this is the boneless chicken breast, which most people are extremely familiar with. Very popular, very common piece of meat. Now, one problem that I see a lot of people running into is when it comes time to turn this thing into a chicken cutlet, which is great for any breaded chicken cutlets, for sandwiches, chicken parmesan, anything like that. This is what is being used. But what happens a lot in home kitchens is that people have a hard time, on their own anyway, turning this thing into a bona fide, nice, evenly cut, flat piece of chicken that can be made into a really nice cutlet. Now, I'm going to move a couple of these aside, and I'm going to show you something that I see quite frequently. So, here's your typical chicken breast, and a lot of times if you buy these pre-cut into cutlets, you're going to see something like this, which is basically, slices of chicken with the breast here just sliced through just like that, right? This is okay. This is functional. It works, but see, this is what happens. Now, you get a couple really nice pieces, right, like these two here. It's a nice flat piece there, right, if you can see that. And then this one's not bad, but it's definitely smaller, right, and it's a little thinner. But this one is the first one. This kind of incorporates some of that tenderloin piece that comes off. There's not a lot we can do with this. Okay, so you kind of have, we're able to get 4 pieces out of that, but they're all a little bit uneven, a little different. So while that works for certain applications, I'm going to show you a way that, to me, I think is the best way to do this with the chicken cutlets. Now, one of the issues that comes up with these is that if you notice the way this piece of meat is constructed, if you will, right? It's very thick at this end, right? It's very thick here, and it tapers. It tapers down right here, okay? So when you leave the piece whole like this, if you're not making it into a cutlet, sometimes this end dries out very easily. And again, not a lot of fat on this piece, so you're always kind of battling between that dryness and that sort of like getting this to cook evenly and keeping that flavor in there. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to take our beautiful knife, right, step 1, and we're going to hold this chicken breast. The way I like to do it is you have this flap from the tenderloin on one side, and you kind of have right here is where the wings attached. You get a little, like, let's call this a little divot, right? It's from where that joint was. And that side is usually nice and squared off for you. So what you can do is hold it just like that, right? And we're going to put a hand right on top to keep it nice and stable. Now with our knife, you could use whatever knife is comfortable. I like the big knife because you get a nice big cut out of it. With that knife, we're going to go right in, right, and stop about 2/3 of the way through and just butterfly that open just like that, okay? So now we have a nice cutlet, kind of the same color as the board here, so I want to make sure you can see this. I'll hold it in the dark background. A nice heart-shaped cutlet, right? And that is butterflied open. If you want to make sure that lays nice and flat, you can take the knife and just, once it's open, okay, like this, you can hit that a little bit more and get it so it's a little bit flatter. But the real work is going to come with our kitchen mallet. So let me show you that. You're going to take a couple pieces of wax paper here, all right? Take 2. So instead of folding it over onto itself or anything like that, we're going to take that cutlet, put it on this one piece of wax paper. Think about how you want to lay it out and how you're going to pound it. This one, it's obviously a little wider this way. So I'll lay it just like that on the paper. We're gonna use that mallet to really work this out into a nice even cutlet. So we put that on one side of the paper. Get your other side, just like this. For those of you who have seen some of my other videos, we did this with a butterfly pork loin not too long ago. Same technique, right, that we're using here. But I want to pound this one a little bit more and really show you, pardon me while I grab this hammer, really show you how we can work this into a cutlet. Now, one more thing before I start going here. I said this, with a hammer like this where you have the tenderizing surface on either side, you can use that. That works, but I prefer to use the flat side of the hammer because you're going to get a nice even pound. And just be cognizant, be careful there where you're not, hitting with the corner. I can show you, I'll try to show you what it looks like when you put those little divots in it. So try and do nice even strokes down on the chicken, right, and land nice and square on it. You don't have to pound it really hard, right? It's already dead, so don't worry about that. We're trying to make this thing nice and even so that it cooks nice and evenly when you fry it in a pan or bake it in the oven or whatever you plan to do with your cutlet, all right? So without further ado, let's get pounding. Now, again, let me just stop here. As I said before, one side of this, one end of this cutlet, right, this end is thicker than the other end, right? So you have this nice fat side. Even when you butterfly it open, you're still going to have that effect. So when you're pounding, you're also going to have to compensate for that a little bit. So you're going to pound one side a little bit more than you are that other. So the fatter side, the thicker side, if we will, we're going to work a little harder on that side than we are on the thinner, tapered side. So here we go. Keep going. All right, Now, if you're using some good wax paper, pretty much any wax paper will do this. It's got that nice, little bit translucent. You can see through it there. You'll notice how big that's getting, and you can see how flat that chicken cutlet is getting as you pound it. But as you do that, you can make these really big as you pound them and really get that meat to be a nice size. So you can, as you pound it and it's flattening out and becoming nice and even, you can start working it, right? And you pound a little more in this direction. As you can see there, I'm kind of rotating my arm, my elbow as I hit it. And that'll help work that meat out a little bit and make this thing even more even, and it'll make it nice and even, make it a little bit thinner, and you can kind of get it a little bigger that way too. So in that sense, you can also make these go a longer way. Maybe you get 2 nice cutlets out of 1 piece that you had before. So doing this, we're working those edges down, right? You could turn it, move it, however is comfortable, whichever way you need. Okay? So once you've gotten that about where you're happy with, you can see it, give it a good feel. It's a nice even cutlet now, right? So we've pounded it down. Let me just show you. Get this paper off. There we go. So now we have this beautiful, and it just happens to be a nice heart-shaped chicken cutlet. Can you see that there? Put it on the darker background for you. Get a good look at that. I'll even take it off the paper so you can get a good look at that. Now, when you see this, right, I'm holding this up like a nice little pizza and start tossing it in the air. What do you think about that? Don't do that. Anyway, this is a nice, even cutlet that's pretty much ready for breading. I honestly, I think I would even pound this down a little bit more so that's even a little bit thinner still, so that cooks a little faster, especially if you're doing it in a frying pan with oil. But yeah, once you bread this down, you can bake it in the oven and layer it up, do some nice chicken parm with that or something whatever you want. I'm very partial to that. I got that nice Italian blood flowing, so anything with red sauce kind of works for me. But anyway, that's just a suggestion. So yeah, that's basically how you pound it. So let me show you another thing. Got a nice cutlet there. Leave that for you to examine as we talk. So here's another one, right? We're going to start it the same way. We're going to use that nice squared side right here where that joint was, right? We're going to cut right down into it. And right about there, so butterfly that open. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you 2 things. All right? If you want, you can lay these out and do, using the wax paper, same technique. Again, these are a little big, so I probably wouldn't do it with these. But if you want, you make this go a little faster. You can do 2 of these at once. All right? Now, just keep in mind, depending on the size of your paper, you might want a bigger piece. I pre-cut these so we were ready to roll here. Not quite as big as I would have made them had I been doing this on getting them ready. But anyway, this is what we're working with. But you can always do, 2 at once. Going like this. Right? And we're just working in the same way. Just pounding them out so they're nice and flat and even. This is going to give you a really nice, even chicken cutlet that will cook so much better and retain so much more of that flavor than if you cook them with, when you leave them as a whole piece or when you try to slice them real thin. All right? So there you go. Got a couple more cutlets for you there. These are a little thicker still. Again, you can go as thick or as thin as you want. Let me just show you real quick what you should try to avoid, and the point I'm trying to make with when I tell you not to try to avoid hitting the corners or the sides of the mallet against the chicken. If you do that, and if you go too fast or too hard, I'm exaggerating here for effect. But, you dent the meat and you cause little issues in it like that. You make some holes. Now, if you do that, right, you can kind of put it back together and just kind of push it together and give it another shot. And slowly, again, give it a nice even pound. And if you kind of make those dents, you can compensate. Some of this is a little bit forgiving when you use this technique. So that will work. But again, try to just, go slow, go nice and easy, and get yourself a nice, flat, ready to rock chicken cutlet. All right? Catch you next time.